Welcome to Lesson 8 of the Your Watercolor Summer Weekly Challenge. If you don't know me already, hi, I'm Chris V from octopusconnection.com, and I've been a creative teacher online since 2016. I offer courses, a watercolor membership, and I have over 20 classes on Skillshare.com. This is a low-pressure challenge designed to keep you gently painting all summer long, even in the middle of those life's interruptions like the kids being home, visitors staying over, travel, and I'm sure you have a few things to add to that list for the summer. Last week, I shared some tips about how to paint watercolor outfits to cut down your time on travel planning, packing, and boost up the fun level. Several of you have reached out to me to let me know how much this helped you and how many of you are already doing a version of this. Nikki was already painting her travel outfits to finalize her wardrobe before packing, but now she's even more motivated to keep doing it. Rebecca was also doing a version of this, but just with her accessories. Now she's going to be adding her clothing to her painting process as well, to be able to see the bigger picture of her travel looks in watercolor the next time she packs for a trip. And Alessandra, who travels for work, doesn't really enjoy packing for her trips, but now that she's going to start to paint her outfits, she's way more looking forward to it. I'm so glad to hear that this lesson inspired even more of you and that it's going to help you get more strategic the next time you pack for a trip, while adding even more watercolor fun to the mix. When you do, I really hope you share it with me in the Facebook community or on Instagram so I can see the beauty and the time-saving tips you've created. If you missed that lesson, you can click at the top right of the screen now to watch it to see what all the buzz is about. This week, my talk week is a kind of controversial one for me personally. Detailed painting versus a loose painting style. That's because when I was a younger painter, I thought that detailed, realistic painting and drawing was the only way to go. I was not very open-minded, which is a shame, but I see now that I was painting realism for the wrong reasons. I wasn't even giving other styles a chance. So my new philosophy is that if I haven't actually tried it, I shouldn't be allowed to judge it. In the meantime, I've been able to look at detailed painting in a new way. I don't use it for the sake of trying to control my environment or insist that everything is black and white, but instead to lose track of time, to get lost in those beautiful details and study how to capture them best with watercolors. That's the reason I tend to try new things now, and I have grown and expanded my skills so much from it over the years. I adopted an abstract style for a while, which I'll be talking about in a future video, and then the quick and loose style followed afterwards. It was so freeing to be able to just let go and not give in to perfectionism. As an example, I've been teaching a series of simple and easy projects on Skillshare lately to give students that quick win. This is also a low barrier of entry for new painters, and it's just fun. I also find that quick, low-pressure projects can help my students let go of their own perfectionism and allow us all to embrace more self-acceptance with our work. After all, we are our biggest critics, right? So that's why when it was time for me to create a new Skillshare class this month, I took on a topic I don't normally teach, which is detailed painting, using a series of techniques that achieves a 3D quality. I realized that the prospect of painting a subject matter in any detail can be really intimidating. And since my specialty is breaking down difficult topics into simple terms for my students, I went to work on how to take a detailed subject matter and make it easy to paint. Not the easiest task by any means, but that's what my new class is all about. When you're out and about and painting during the summer, don't be afraid to slow down once in a while and go deeper with your subject matter. Paint a few more shadows, bring up those highlights a little bit more, do a little bit of extra line work and get lost in the process. These things can also be relaxing and put you in a meditative state. This kind of painting is perfect for when you're feeling stressed and you just need to get away from it all. Projects like this can completely transport you, and before you know it, you're feeling much lighter. The secret is not to judge your work too harshly though, which is a really challenging prospect, right? One way to train yourself to do this is to walk away from your finished painting, especially if you're not happy with it, and don't look at it for several hours or even a day or two. Then when you do look at it from across the room and pretend it's someone else's. I know that's not easy, but if you can do it, it will give you a more arm's distance approach. So try not to be so personally invested when you possibly can, and give your work a chance. You might be surprised at how much better it looks to you. Another way to go easier on yourself is to not choose the hardest things to paint right away, but instead challenge yourself a little bit at a time. For example, if you're working on new techniques, paint an easier subject so the learning curve isn't so steep. And if you're using known techniques, paint a slightly more difficult subject. I think often we expect so much of ourselves, and it just may not be realistic. After all, would you expect a third grader to jump to fifth grade math? I don't think so. Think of your creative learning in this way too, and give yourself some grace. This is the very reason why I chose to paint sunflowers in my new Skillshare class. I'm introducing some new techniques to my students, so while sunflowers give us plenty of opportunity to add detail, they're not very complicated to paint. And that gives students a chance to learn the techniques without having to wrestle with difficult shapes, shading, or perspective. Don't get me wrong, I'm always going to love that quick and loose painting style, and I will use it for years to come. But it's nice to go into another mode and be able to slow down and relax into some deeper, more complex, detailed painting and just forget the world for a little while. I'm so grateful that time and life experiences have reshaped the way I think. And I realize now that art isn't black and white as I thought it was when I was younger. It's all pure expression, whether you're the one painting or you're the one viewing the art. And expression is a complicated thing that can evolve along with us. So don't be surprised if you don't necessarily like the same things anymore, like your favorite color changes or your usual style loses its appeal. Go with it and see where it takes you. You can stumble into some really cool things that pull you forward into the next big step in your watercolor journey. I hope you'll keep these things in mind and be kind to yourself as you're creating. You'll have way more fun and you might even like your work a little better. If you haven't already, I would love for you to join us in the Your Watercolor Summer Low Pressure Weekly Painting Challenge to get more tips, more video lessons like this one, a challenge community to share your work, a challenge hub to keep it all together, where I feature the paintings that you're sharing on Instagram and in the Facebook group. Just go to the description below this video, click on the link to join the challenge, and follow the challenge checklist on the hub page so you don't miss a thing. Then, like this video, subscribe to this channel, and tap the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos in the series. If you missed last week's video, you can tap on the screen now to watch it. And if you want to start from lesson 1, you can find that on the screen now too. Then I'll see you back here next week for lesson number 9 of the free Your Watercolor Summer Low Pressure Weekly Challenge. Bye for now.